Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Production Pro. Man, I am excited about today. I'm excited for you BeLivers, just in general. Believers, BeLivers. A lot of people say believers, like Justin Bieber. BeLivers, something like that. Nevertheless, very excited about today because we are going to do some really cool things with Epiphan Video today. Here on the broadcast, we got our good friend George Herhert joining us from his studio today to share brand new announcements with a partnership with BeLive.tv. And let me tell you something, folks. Tell your ma, tell your Paul, because I'm telling you, you're going to want to share this show. So make sure you do so and join us for this edition of Production Pro. Share this broadcast.
Okay, people, let's begin. Okay, people, let's begin.
Yes. Welcome to the broadcast. So good that you joined us here today for another edition of Production Pro. So good that you're here. And very excited for today's broadcast. I've been for a little while now. This is a very great and the first of its kind with BeLive.tv. So the first integration with another company using BeLive.tv. So a couple things, folks. On Production Pro, we share people's studios. We talk about gear. We talk about cameras. We talk about microphones. We talk about a lot of things when it comes down to production. And it's always a blessing to be here every week to talk about live streaming and production. It's absolutely amazing. We got some people checking in. Ellen says, hi. Steve Rockhill says, hey. Norma says, hey there from Delaware. Glad you join us. But a couple things, folks. Today, we're talking to, I always say this. I want to say it right. Epiphan Video. I always have a tongue twister on that. I don't know why. But George is going to be joining us today, live from his studio in Canada, talking about an amazing integration that's going on with BeLive.tv and their company. So a couple things, folks, before we get started. Share the show. You see something that's interesting. You're a small business. You're a marketer. You're a broadcaster. You're a radio guy. You're a podcaster. And you are streaming or you're just trying to grow your business. Maybe share the show. And please, tag a friend if this has interest to you, interest for some of your friends that you say, hey, he live streams or he podcast or whatever they do with your broadcasting, your live streaming, your radio show, whatever you do, maybe tag your friend in and share some of the love during this great broadcast. We're going to dive in a little bit with some nuts and bolts of how to use this integration. And I'm going to tell you, it makes things really, really easy using this new integration. So very excited about it. So please, if you can, tag a friend in the comments below who want to know more about this product, because trust me when I tell you, you're gonna want to know more about this product. Also, join the BeLivers group, and this is a group where you guys can share stories. And sometimes you guys are starting off, you're starting a brand new show. You're not sure what to do. You're kind of like, hey, I need a co-host. Man, many times in the BeLivers group, someone says, I need a co-host. People show up and they help you grow your business and your live stream and your marketing and your broadcasting and your radio shows to a different level. These people support you. It's a great support system. People always have questions. And sometimes, but I got to tell you, BeLive.tv's customer support is hands down the best on the planet. Like if you have a problem, you can go to the Facebook group, go in there and instant message them, and they're immediately to respond to you. But if you have a question outside that, there's always admins or people in the BeLivers group ready to assist you in this journey of becoming the greatest live streamer on the planet. That's right, folks. And today, folks, sign up with a 30-day free trial with BeLive.tv. You use this code here. First off, let me pop this in. You can use this code right here. You get a 30-day free trial. Like I've had several pastors from churches sign up. They go, wait a minute, I can do my own broadcast on Facebook or Twitch? Why, yes, pastor, you can, using BeLive.tv. Go click that link, sign up, and I challenge you to go do a better show than this. And I always say it every single week. When I first started live streaming in 2007, I don't even know where I was streaming at, somewhere on some other site. Maybe it was Stickcam or Justin TV. I can't remember. And someone saw my broadcast. It's a friend of mine. Maybe was he a friend? After what he said to me, he goes, I saw Jeff doing his live stream. I can do better than he can. And guess what? He did. Now he's syndicated all across the United States with his own radio broadcast. So I challenge you to do a better show than this one. That's what we're here, folks. Pros, to turn you guys into pros and challenge you to take you to new heights using BeLive.tv. So go sign up today, get a free trial using BeLive.tv. Use this code. If it's flashing in front of you, just go up to the link in the description on top of the Facebook Live. Click the link, and you can be off to the races, making your own Facebook Lives and Twitch shows. Absolutely fantastic today. I'm going to introduce our guest. I actually met him face-to-face for a few minutes at NAB 2019. We're going to bring on my friend George Herhert, talking about the exciting new things here that are happening right now on this show. Hey, George, how's it going?
Great. How are you, Jeff?
I am doing well. I have no complaints. Very excited about this broadcast today, just from a technology standpoint, because I geek out on technology. I geek out about software, physical hardware. And I'm sure you're very like-minded. But So great that you joined our broadcast today on Production Pro. And I know you're a busy guy and part of the content creation and marketing team at your company. And maybe give us our listeners and viewers some of the history of your great company.
Sure. Yeah. So Epiphan Video has been around making video products in various different forms for over 15 years, starting with USB-based capture cards. And now our main focus is in hardware encoders for live streaming and recording. One of them we're going to talk a lot more about today, obviously. But some of our flagship products like our Pearl 2 and our Pearl Mini, these larger, more powerful studio in a box type things are huge successes for us across a lot of different markets. And so for me, I've been with Epiphan for nearly a decade myself. And, it's been great to see the change of not just our own technology, but the world of live streaming as a whole. So it's great to get to work with companies like BeLive and yourself, these experienced, great technology pieces out there. It's really awesome. It's super exciting. And so for me, I get exposed to it personally, not only as part of the marketing and do a lot of content creation, but my actual day job is I'm the manager of our tech support department. So that's sort of
nice.
My day-to-day is working with our customers to find the solutions so that they can do exactly what you threw the challenge out to, do it better.
Yeah, that's a pride too. It's like I think it's always good to connect with people in the industry as well, and especially in your space with coming up with a lot of technologies for live streaming and giving people the assistance. Does your job ever get old and stale when you talk to other people on the phone or emails, their excitement about live streaming? For me, I know it never dies. I get pumped up a little bit. Do you feel the same way?
Right. No, not at all. Honestly, it's something that no two customers are the same, right? There's always something unique, something new that's happening. We deal with customers from Fortune 500 all the way down to small country churches that have never even thought about live streaming until today, and everything in between. And so there's always something different. And that's what's really exciting about the industry is that, because of our products reaching a wide range of possibilities, it means the customers are a wide range, and that's fantastic.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I guess from a technology standpoint, you're emailing people in small little cities sometimes, and it's always interesting. I get a lot of people responding, that are in Africa that don't have the ability to have the technology to jump on a Skype or basically like we take for granted. I mean, we can jump on a Skype or a Zoom call, and they don't have the ability. They're emailing. They're new to the technology, and a lot of them are like these small little churches or and they don't know, but they're very excited and very enthusiastic of learning the technologies or the things they need to get their message across, which is still fascinating to me because we living in the United States and you guys are in Canada or across the world. If we take for granted so much of our technology these days of how we communicate, and you really think about it, the world is so small, but yet it's so big because a lot of these countries are not up to par yet with the proper bandwidth to do live streaming.
No, absolutely. And that's definitely one of the big challenges that we face. I mean, Epiphan does business in over 100 countries around the world. So there's always something. And certainly the emerging markets in parts of Africa and even India still to a large extent, they're just really breaking into this stuff in a big way. And they're just starting to get the connections that have enough bandwidth to make live streaming viable. And they're trying to figure out how. And then that makes it exciting. It's really interesting to hear from those customers every day at this point, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. Let's dive in a little bit too, of the Webcaster 2. Maybe explain to the fine folks here what exactly the integration with BeLive.tv and the Webcaster X2 is all about today on the broadcast.
Yeah, so a couple of years ago, we launched the Webcaster X2, which is technically, as the name would suggest, a second generation of essentially our entry-level, basic, simplified hardware encoder for live streaming. It started out as something specific for Facebook and YouTube directly, but what we found was that a lot of customers were looking to do a little extra. And the best way to be able to do that, speed up development and provide a bigger range of extra, is to partner with companies that are already doing an excellent job of what they do. And BeLive's an awesome example of that. Whether it's the talk show format or just the ability to do the different things, essentially in the cloud, makes it very easy, very accessible, and quick. And that's a big piece. And so when people are looking for maybe a little more, I guess, flexibility in what they want their content to be, but they're looking to not invest huge amounts of money in hardware, doing things in the cloud with BeLive, combining that with a very, fairly low cost and simplified hardware encoder like the Webcaster, really it is a match made in heaven. It's perfect. It makes sense. So with the Webcaster, it is possible to stream directly to Facebook or YouTube or Twitch. We have some other partnerships in there as well, but definitely one we've been looking forward to and very excited about is with BeLive because of the extra tools that it brings to the table.
Yeah. So quick question though. Let's ask the audience, who wants to see how it runs and what's under that hood, folks? Let's see what's under the hood and see how it operates here on BeLive.tv Production Pro. Very excited about this. And and it's kind of long overdue with BeLive.tv having a partnership with yourself. And I know the team at BeLive.tv has been working hard on this with you guys for the last several months. And it's so good to give people the ability and some options with, because that's the biggest obstacle I've always kind of had with BeLive.tv and some of the customers is like most people are using the webcams and their mics on their laptop or desktop computer, which is fine. You can do a Facebook Live with that, and there's no problem doing that. But then the biggest thing was like maneuvering people that wanted to maybe step in their production game, bring in a better camera, some lightings, how do you do a backdrop and all this stuff, because there's different levels. Everybody's at different places in their journey. And I think with this product, it gives people the ability to take in, some more professional gear into BeLive.tv and use the resources of BeLive.tv and use the resources of your physical product, the X2 Webcaster, and do some amazing things. So I have it potted up here too as
Yeah.
well. So let's maybe take a look at
Yeah.
it, and
Yeah,
you
well,
can kind of
I was
describe, and
just
we
going
can
to
go
follow
on.
up on your point there, Jeff, because
Yeah.
it's a great point, and it's probably one of the things I think during NAB when you and I met a few weeks ago. I think I must have said this probably 1,000 times a day. But one of the beauty parts about the Webcaster is that a lot of people are doing, the webcam on the laptop with the built-in microphone, and yeah, you can do it, but it's not the best quality. Or maybe they're doing one of these with their smartphone, right? And again, literally the same problem exists where it's not necessarily the best camera for all situations. Audio is usually lacking. So the Webcaster as a whole, as a piece of hardware, the design intention was to create a sort of middle ground bridge between maybe shooting things with your smartphone and using a real camera, but still getting that simplicity. So with Webcaster, we can bring in an HDMI input. So you could bring in a high quality camera. You could bring in, I'm actually, the one I have sitting here on the desk, I'm actually using a webcam, so I'm cheating a little bit. But
Okay.
you could use a webcam as a secondary input if you want to do some picture-in-picture stuff right on the Webcaster. And then to integrate it with something like BeLive, the simplicity of it is you get a pairing code right on a little display on the front of the Webcaster. Or if you feel like hauling out a big monitor, you can get it on a monitor as well. And you pair that to your BeLive account, and that's it. I mean, then you start your show through BeLive's normal interface, and that's it. I mean, it's ultra simple. So being able to bring in, like you said, that higher quality potential from good quality cameras, maybe even you put a switcher in front of it. I mean, whatever you want to do. Elevate the quality, keep it simple, and just bring the production game up for something that's Facebook Live. And that there's no reason we shouldn't do that, right? It's so easy, and it can be cost effective. And I'm sure you probably run into this all the time. Quality is everything. People have a certain expectation of quality now, and every time I see another live stream from someone's shaky smartphone, it drives me crazy.
Yeah, I think that's I think it's and that's the beauty of it. I mean, everybody is at these different journeys, and it's it's just a phenomenal thing. But let's really excited about this product because what you just said is the key. Is it gives you a lot of flexibility of what you can do with this product. Bringing in a USB webcam to the broadcast, taking the HDMI input, using it for something else if you wanted to, like a higher end camera, do a picture-in-picture type of scenario. So the options are absolutely fantastic. Or like myself right now, I have a TriCaster Mini. I could take my TriCaster Mini. I said enemy Mini, and take the output HDMI into the Webcaster X2 and have that flexibility where I'm switching cameras and also using BeLive.tv at the same time, which is absolutely fantastic. So how do you want to dive in and looking under the hood and kind of showing how everything rock and rolls?
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, it's pretty straightforward. I have mine all hooked up and running here right now. So it's got cables going to the monitor and the power and sort of everything. I even have, if I did need to control deeper settings, you can plug in a USB mouse and dive into the deeper system level settings of a Webcaster. Luckily, that's not really necessary with the way BeLive set it up. So once it's paired, there's really not much more to do. But the nice part is, as you can see, I'm actually going to just disconnect mine here for a moment. You can see it's a small compact box. It's not a whole lot there. It has Ethernet and Wi-Fi connectivity. So, certainly as a tech support guy, I'm always going to, tell people they should probably be looking at doing Ethernet for reliability. But Wi-Fi gives you flexible options, including if you want to be more mobile. Maybe there's a reason why you need to be running off a cellular connection. You could use that Wi-Fi to tether to your smartphone and tap into your LTE connection and run a live stream that way. We provide a wall plug power supply for the Webcaster in the box, but it runs on 5 volt. You can power it off of a battery bank if you want. And we have a ton of customers doing that. So again, there's opportunities to make it an extremely portable device, and being this small, I've seen some customers, I'm sure some of your viewers and yourself as well, probably familiar with the run gun backpacks that a lot of Twitch streamers use.
Yeah.
I've seen some people build their own with a Webcaster. So there's a lot of cool possibilities that you can play around with. And at the same time, just to throw some numbers at you, in the US, the largest sales market for us for the Webcaster is churches. Somewhere near 80% of Webcaster sales in the US are churches. And that's a lot of units. So, the beauty there again is people who may not be veteran live streaming guys like you or I, Jeff, but they are getting into it. They know the audience is there. They're trying to reach that audience. They can't invest a huge amount of money, and they need to keep it simple because sometimes it's being run by volunteers. And so that's exactly what the Webcaster shines at. That's exactly what BeLive is great at. So again, combining the two is a no-brainer.
Absolutely. So basically, too, from a standpoint of, I'm kind of curious too, because I got this a couple of weeks ago. I've kind of played around with it and tested it out. From a standpoint of how easy this is to use, like you mentioned, like tethering your cell phone for a connection with this thing. Is it? Can you tether just one phone to it, or can you do multiple phones?
It would just be one, because it is just over Wi-Fi. So you would enable Wi-Fi hotspot on your phone and just tell Webcaster to join that Wi-Fi network. We have had some customers use it with more serious bonded cellular solutions, but those typically offer Ethernet. And so that makes a little bit better connection between Webcaster and whatever your bonded router solution is. Ourselves, we actually use the Netgear MR1100 little wireless router LTE hotspots that have Ethernet and Wi-Fi on them, run on their own battery. We use those to run our trade show booths now because they work so well. But I've often done mobile streams with a Webcaster, just using that, linking together, and it makes it very quick and easy that way. The nice part about those hotspots is you can actually connect external antennas if you want, if you need to boost the signal, especially in environments like the Las Vegas Convention Center where reception is never that great. If you could boost it, then all the better. So there's a lot of ways. So the flexible options are the key there.
Oh, absolutely. I love the fact that this thing is so, it's small. I mean, you can literally take this, you could take this, even in your computer bag, or if you're traveling or you're traveling around, take your high-end camera, however you're doing with microphones, you can literally take this, and it's very, very light. It's not, I've had a lot of devices before. You put them on your back and you can feel it. You're dealing with 5, 10, 15 pounds. And literally this is so light. You don't even realize, I mean, it's comparisons to it, like almost a mouse. It's probably a little bit heavier than a mouse, but this is extremely, extremely light, which makes traveling and putting in your camera bag very, very simple.
Yeah, exactly. If you're already carrying a dedicated camera bag, this is really going to slip in there and not even be noticed, right? And so, that gives it some great flexibility to throw it in your backpack, throw it in your laptop bag, throw it in your camera bag, and it's not going to be too much weight. And then it has a nice sort of rubberized coating on it, but the casing is actually metal as well, so it's durable. It's not something that is going to fall apart just sliding around in your bag like some cheaper plastic products on the market might do. So it's built to be pretty durable, and we've had a lot of customers of ours who have done some really interesting things. There is a Facebook group for the Webcaster X2 that we don't run. We are members of it, but it's not our group. It was just created by users. And we participate in it regularly. And some of the guys in there, some of the setups they post, they blow me away. Guy will post a picture of all these different pieces, all just strapped down the leg of a tripod while he's shooting a soccer game, and that's it. Everything is so easy and contained that way, and it's pretty awesome to see the different ways people have used it.
So we talked a little bit about some of the things, but how can the Webcaster X2 help live streams be better? And what are the advantages of it? Like, we talked about some workflows,
Yeah.
but maybe share some like some customers that that are doing some pretty cool things with it.
Yeah, so some of the nice things, I mean, obviously, one of the ways that a lot of people get started in live streaming will be, different software options, including BeLive, that you can just use your webcam straight in a browser and that's it. Some people might move into something like OBS as a software piece to do switching and mixing and all these different things to get more creative. The downside is that if you want to get a high quality camera into a piece of hardware like a computer, you need a capture card or something else. And that's not a bad thing. Epiphan makes those too, and I'm happy to sell you one. But at the same time, you also need a pretty powerful computer to do that. You're not going to do it with a $500 Walmart special, right? It's not going to give you the performance you want or expecting. And that's really where the dedicated hardware encoders enter the picture, is that for less cost than that, you can have a piece of hardware that does all that heavy lifting for you. You plug in the camera, it does all of the encoding and compression and streams directly to that platform. So you don't have to worry about teaching people how to use complex software. You don't have to worry about the cost of the laptop to run it properly or the capture card in addition to that. There's great software out there. Don't get me wrong. Wirecast, vMix, those guys make awesome software. Ton of our customers with our capture cards use those software packages. But most of the guys running those pieces, they're buying computers that are $2,000-$3,000 to run it in a really good way. And that's a lot of money for someone maybe starting out who maybe hasn't made any revenue from live streaming yet. So getting started with something that retails for $299 is a different equation. So it's pretty straightforward that way. But the other thing is, one of the risks with software encoding on a computer is that there's always the possibility of something on that computer going wrong. I joke about it all the time on our own live show about you might be doing it with this and all of a sudden you get a Windows update in the middle of your event and your computer reboots. I joke about that, but honestly, that joke comes from the volume of customers that I hear from every day that actually happens to. And everything goes down. They lose everything. And they're waiting, especially recently, some of the Windows updates take 45 minutes to load. It's like, if you're in the middle of an event and that happens, you're done. That's it. You're over. A hardware encoder is not going to do that. It's not running Windows. It's not going to do an update in the middle of your event. And that can be, from a reliability standpoint, that's a big plus. And of course, just not having to, even my laptop being an Ultrabook, this is still smaller and lighter. So why not bring this instead?
Speaking of which, maybe you can answer this question. Nicholas says, can it work with a tablet?
In what way? So basically, the nice part with the Webcaster is that once it's paired with BeLive, you don't have to do anything else on the Webcaster essentially ever again. Because it's paired to your account, once it has an internet connection, everything's controlled from the BeLive dashboard. So you don't really have to play around with anything there. A lot of people, when they look at hardware encoders, some of them need to be micromanaged where there might be an app you put on a tablet or a smartphone to start, stop, and do all these other things. You don't need to do that on the Webcaster with BeLive. If you were using it with Facebook or YouTube directly, you might want to do that, and in which case you would use a big monitor and a mouse to get into some of the deeper settings. One of the reasons we're so excited about the integration with BeLive is that it skips that part. You don't even need to mess around. As simple as it is on the Webcaster, you don't even need to do that. You can just pair it once, it stays paired to your BeLive account, and all you have to do is go to the BeLive interface dashboard and do everything as you normally do there, selecting Webcaster as the source, and it's just automatic. So it's really, really simple in terms of the workflow. You don't need any extra pieces, really.
And here's the typical question. Because no questions are ever ridiculous, but you maybe explain to people too. It's like, because people are at different places in their live stream journey, and so they might have this question. With this product, can you multi-stream to multiple destinations or just one destination per device?
So it is only a single destination per device. That being said, if someone was looking at using a restreaming service, Again, maybe I shouldn't say this on the BeLive show, but one of the other partnerships we have is with Switchboard Live, and they are a restreaming service. And so if someone needed to reach a whole bunch of different platforms at the same time, it's possible depending on the integration you're doing. You know, I know BeLive right now is very focused on Facebook Live, which is awesome. But maybe down the road, you know, that's something where BeLive is simultaneously casting to Twitch and Facebook at the same time, and in which case the load wouldn't be on Webcaster anyways. So you don't even need to use the extra bandwidth. And that, again, that's one of the beauties of using cloud-based services, is that sometimes you're in a location where you don't have a lot of bandwidth, and adding any extras like streaming to multiple destinations or adding extra pieces in, sometimes it's better to do that in the cloud so that you don't have to use up a ton of extra bandwidth at your location where maybe it's just simply not available. So that single stream link out, and then in the cloud being able to play with it there, just gives you a lot of advantages.
And with the people watching right now, if you guys got any questions, now's the time to ask them, pop them up. We'll get right to them. We'll bring them up on the chat. Sure. And do that as well. But the price retails at $299. That's very affordable. Like you said, you can go out and get a maxed out computer, and you still, with with everything that you need, you're still probably over $1,000 to really become a
absolutely
hardline streamer. This gives you the flexibility to do a lot. And and I know, like, using your products in the past as well, of certain situations that we did with some government jobs, we used two different of your units at the same time, and we split the HDMI out. We did one for YouTube, we did the other one for Facebook, so we could monitor the chats and look at both of them at the same time. There's a lot of flexibility that you can do with these things too, and those are some workarounds too. If you wanting to multicast and you're using like some physical hardware as well with your thing, there's a lot of things that you can do. Is split your HDMI and get two of these boxes. You can go to YouTube or Facebook, and legally you can do it without any problems. And because with a lot of people would get very frustrated sometimes, like, oh, I can restream all these different accounts, but they're not really doing it legally. Like BeLive.tv, and I know with your partnerships, you take them very seriously. Like Facebook said, hey, look, we want you streaming here. We don't want to be multicasting. We want you streaming here. So like BeLive.tv, and you have to honor your contracts. But a lot of people are like, well, that doesn't do anything for me. I just want to stream to places. There's with your units, it's affordable because you don't have to go out and buy 3 different computers to do so now. And it's like, man, I was just thinking about this before we did the show. It's like when I was doing a Jeff Adams show years ago, I was like, where was this, to make it simplified for myself to, stream to all these destinations where I could monitor the chat, because that was the biggest problem, is like streaming to all these different places. You had the ability, like through Switchboard or Restream, to do so, but the monitor the chat was ridiculous, because the shows are about the chat. If you're not engaging with the audience, because I come from a radio background, we would just talk to dead air and whoever called on the phone lines. That's what we did. But I learned, when I started working with BeLive in 2016, I kind of grasped a new skill set. Like, this is a lot different than hosting a radio program, because you have to talk to the chat and engage with the chat. So a lot of flexibility with this product.
Yeah, exactly. And again, if you were streaming directly to Facebook from a webcaster, a lot of people ask about, why can't it simultaneously stream to YouTube at the same time? And again, exactly to your point, is that, the webcaster leverages the APIs from these companies, and same is true with BeLive, just in reverse. They're implementing our API. But the terms of service of those APIs have some rules, and not much we can do about those.
Right.
It is what it is. So again, that's where the partnerships come in to maximize the potential of something. And I honestly haven't gotten much of a chance to really take a deep personal dive into BeLive. I'm really looking forward to do that. I've played around with it a little bit on the surface, and right away said, wow, yeah, this has some amazing potential for some of our customers. Similarly, it's probably not for everyone. There's no be all end all for everyone. Everyone has their unique needs. Everyone's going to have their own camera choices, their own encoder choices, their own platform choices. Our goal at Epiphan is to make sure that we're making products that are as flexible as possible within that, so that, you know, it's not just serving a single niche customer, but to hopefully serve a wide range of different possibilities. And again, adding BeLive to the toolbox really only just expands that further. You know, it gives you a lot more possibilities, and that's cool. I like it.
It absolutely does. John Simmons, hey John, how's it going? John says, does this come with a camera for $299, or is that for an additional cost?
It would be an additional cost, but basically you can plug in whatever HDMI-based camera you want, as long as it's going to provide a live, clean HDMI out that in some cases includes audio to make it really simple. You can basically use anything, whether it's a less expensive Handycam style, or, I mean, one of the more popular ones I've actually seen with a lot of the customers has been the Panasonic G7 or G85, the mirrorless, more DSLR style stuff.
Yeah.
Partially because they have audio inputs on them as well, so you could plug big microphones or audio systems into them. You can get those cameras very inexpensive these days, especially used. We've done some live streaming off of one of these using our Canon C100 Mark II. Totally excessive for this, but I mean, it always looks good. Some people have done it with GoPros. A lot of people just use webcams. You know, again, as long as the camera's going to give us an HDMI feed, doesn't really matter what it is. Just obviously make sure that it's live and clean, so we don't get on-screen overlays, and you're good to go.
Yeah, I have a question too, and maybe I should have asked this on our phone call 2 days ago. So if I put you on the spot, I apologize.
No problem.
From a USB standpoint, on the back, you know, we have two inputs. You know, we have one HDMI out, we have one HDMI in, and we have another USB on the side. Now let's talk about a little bit. We have an audio video input. Let me maybe get to this camera right here side. We have like an audio video input, and then we have a USB here. We have HDMI in here, so that's where obviously you put your camera.
Yeah.
Obviously you put your webcam there if you needed to. Let's maybe dive into this a little bit, because my question is, with this AV input, so, you know, if someone's traveling with a a podcast setup, would this give the people the ability to take their podcast feed through a mini jack into the system to get the audio off their board? Or can they, if they had a USB mixer, would the USB mixer be able to read in one of the USB ports?
Yeah, so the first thing to keep in mind is that underneath the shell, this is a shared hardware platform. So not all of the physical ports that you see are applicable to all scenarios. Okay. So the AV jack there, it isn't used as an audio input. It is possible to plug in headphones and listen to some of the audio that way if you want. Okay. The HDMI input on the same side and the USB port that are on the same side there, those can be used as inputs. In the case of the USB,
Uh-oh. There we go. He just dropped. Hang on a minute. Hey George, you just dropped for a minute.
Okay.
So you we heard you say a Blue Yeti and a Behringer, and then you popped out.
Yeah, so we could use those type of plug and play audio devices on that USB port on the input side. So that is a very popular use case. Of course, depending on the camera you're using, you can always run things through the camera as well. If it's a camera that maybe has XLR inputs on it, like we often use internally, then we're going to get the audio embedded over HDMI in most cases, and that's always a good option. The USB on the ports on the back can be used with a USB mouse if you need to get into the deeper system settings, and a keyboard as well if you wanted to. It's not necessary. In some cases where someone might be creating a Facebook or YouTube live stream directly on the webcaster, if they want to type in a complicated description and title, the keyboard can be handy. But when you have a monitor and mouse connected, there is an on-screen keyboard as well if you feel like clicking through it. So there's a few reasons those are there.
Well, let's talk about this too. This is kind of fascinating with me toying around with it. As you see right here, we have a micro SD card. So basically, with this device, are you able to record your BeLives with this card input?
Unfortunately not. No, it's not used for recording. Again, being a shared platform, there's a few different ways that's used, sometimes just in the factory for initialization. But also, there is a use case for this on a platform that Epiphan has called AV Studio, which is essentially a cloud-based editing system for recording. The micro SD card in that instance would be used as a very limited temporary buffer storing the data in a proprietary format before it's immediately dumped to the cloud. So it's just there as a temporary buffer in a format that really wouldn't make it usable as a removable. But in the other live streaming modes like Facebook, YouTube, BeLive, Switchboard, it's not used at all because it doesn't record to it, at least at this time.
Yeah, I mean that'd be I had to ask because I saw that in there. Because that could be a really cool feature in the future, just to have the ability, because the biggest thing too is like, when you're streaming, that you have the ability, if you lose something, you still have, you might be connected still in the cloud, but if you lose like your bandwidth or something, you still have the physical. Right. If you got people in the studio, you're using a TriCaster or ATM or vMix Wirecast, you can still go on with your show and record it, which is pretty phenomenal. But yeah, this is really, for the price point, I mean, this is really great because like I said, I mean, I think the biggest things to take away from this, folks, is the fact that it is $299. It sure beats than going out and getting another computer, because that's probably the biggest question I get asked a lot. Like, hey, what kind of computer do I need to be running what? Yeah. My biggest question back to them is like, what's your end game? Are you just doing Facebook Live? Yeah. Are you just doing Twitches? I mean, this is phenomenal for, even our Twitch side. If there's gamers out here that love the game, this is a great option for, take your monitor in, your gaming system, your PlayStation or your Xbox Live, take a webcam, and you'll be able to have yourself on the camera playing Fortnite or whatever you're doing. This is a great option too. My son's going to really dive into this too. And because he does a lot of streaming. I told him about it. He's like, oh, really? You can do that? Because we've done a lot of, different hacks through the TriCaster to get his gaming going on. But this is like a really cool feature. If you're a gamer too, they have the ability to bring in a webcam, bring your HDMI from your PlayStation or your Xbox, whatever your gaming device is, your gaming computer, and then you have the ability to bring up a webcam as well. So very cool. And most of the time when you go out and buy, and that's the thing we really got to focus on here too, is the price point. The fact that it's $299, that's the retail price. Once you buy an Xbox or a PlayStation, you're kind of like everybody's got limited budget.
It's a lot, yeah, and especially within the world of Twitch, the most popular setups for the majority of the top Twitch streamers is they're using a 2 PC setup. They have the one they're generating content on and the one that's doing all the streaming work, because you really do need quite a lot of power to do it in a good way. Right. So yeah, it's not something that you're going to do with a 10-year-old PC, that's barely running. It's something that's got to be fine-tuned and set up. Doesn't work well on a multitask environment where you're trying to game and stream on the same box. That's asking for disaster. So again, using dedicated hardware, whether it's something like the Webcaster as a dedicated encoder or a second PC, is absolutely the way to go. But when you look at the second PC option, once you add all the pieces together, it starts to get costly for sure.
Kathy says, this is just amazing news. Well, go out and buy one, Kathy. Awesome. $299. Go to this link right here, and you can get the information how to purchase and get the product out to you. $299. It's very affordable. You can use it with BeLive.tv. Mark says, I would love if you could have stills or images saved on the SD or USB to pull them up for the feed. That's something they could probably work on in the future on their side. There's some ideas. Always listen to the customers, right?
We're always listening. Yeah.
Annie Davis says, "Hey, Jeff Adams. Hey, how you doing?" Very, very cool product, my man. And maybe too, outside of the, let me go back to this other camera. Outside of the X2, maybe share some other products that you guys have.
Sure.
You know, I know you guys do some amazing USB video cards. You guys have a whole product line full of cool stuff that, you know, initially, if someone didn't get this, they could still use your other products with BeLive.tv. Could you maybe dive into a little bit of this?
Yeah, actually, funny enough, I'm actually not using a webcaster to join you right now. I'm actually using one of our USB capture cards, which is kind of off the side of the desk here beside me. But I'm using our AVIO HD, which is a small USB 3 based capture card that can take in HDMI or DVI. It'll do full HD at 60 FPS and just plug and play with basically any major operating system and acts like a webcam, so that you can use it in your browser or in software options. So we have that version. We have a 4K version. We have a 3G SDI version. You know, depending on what you might need from an input perspective, you know, we have those. And then the webcaster being the entry level of our hardware encoders. Above that, we also have our Pearl family of encoders, the Pearl Mini, the Pearl 2. These are powerhouse, multi-input, standalone, you know, multi-encode output, live stream and record at the same time. In the case of the Pearl 2, it'll do up to 6 simultaneous inputs and as many as 6 simultaneous separate encoded outputs for streaming and recording, mixing, switching, chroma keying, everything on one dedicated box. So it's a very, very powerful piece. And then its littler brother, the Pearl Mini, is kind of in between there and something like the Webcaster. But even it can do up to 3 simultaneous inputs, mixing, switching, streaming, and recording at the same time. So those boxes, you know, definitely check out epiphan.com and you can see all of our products there. There's a whole bunch of different stuff. Something for everyone, certainly.
Absolutely. And, you know, maybe in hindsight, you work at a technology company. I'm fortunate enough to work at technology companies. Maybe I'd like to get your intake of where you think live streaming is headed. I mean, live streaming when it first came out, it went in all these different directions. Where do you kind of see it really maneuvering and trying to find, because it keeps morphing into different things, right? Where do you kind of see it morphing into where it could be a very lucrative thing for somebody?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely can be. We've already seen that. Right now, that tends to be very niche. You know, on the YouTube side, whether you're the PewDiePies of the world or whether it's the Twitch side and you're the Ninjas of the world, you know, there's definitely places where people can make money and make a living off of live streaming. You know, certainly podcasting has now moved to not be really audio only. It's pretty much now the default that a podcast is going to include video in a large way.
Right.
So whether you're the Joe Rogans of the world or anyone else, you know, that's now become sort of the de facto standard. And there's struggles along with that. You know, different platforms have different rules and there's different, obviously, you know, copyright issues obviously pop up on different platforms here and there. But I think that the trend is going to be to continue to see more and more live content across all of these different platforms. And the ways that we use it is going to expand. I think one of the things we struggle with when people talk about live streaming is there's 2 different types of live streaming. There's a live stream as a consumer perspective, Netflix, Amazon Prime, those sorts of things. That's technically a live stream that you are consuming, but you are consuming pre-recorded content. Really, the live streaming we're talking about is as the creator live pushing it up there for people to see live. And that's where you get the chat interaction and everything else. I think that is the real direction everything is going. I think that we're going to see more and more of that. 2 years ago, when we launched the Webcaster X2 at NAB, we were in the smaller Facebook pavilion, if you remember that, off to the side.
Oh, yeah.
We had our own booth as well, but those first couple of years, we had a little part there, along with a bunch of other great companies. And that first year that we launched the Webcaster X2, I spoke to engineers and producers from every single major US television network that you could possibly name. You know, ABC, CBS, CNN, Fox, everybody. And every single one of them said, I've been told I got to figure out how to live stream, but I have no idea what I'm doing. Help me.
Yeah.
That was an indicator of where things are going. When the traditional media companies recognize that they have to live in this space sooner or later. That's where things are going to go. Here in Canada, our national broadcaster, the CBC, they do their nightly news called The National. For the past number of years, they simultaneously live stream it on YouTube as they're broadcasting it on traditional television, because there's an audience there, and they get thousands and thousands and thousands of viewers every single night. A lot of people are cutting the cord. People don't buy cable or satellite subscriptions anymore. And the numbers of people getting out of that traditional delivery method is exploding at an exponential rate every year. But the amount of bandwidth we consume watching live streams also goes up at kind of the similar rate. Yeah. So for me, that's where the future is that this is the future of content delivery. And one of my colleagues here, and I know he'll probably hate me saying this because I kind of tease him a little bit, but he in one of our marketing videos, he made the comment of what we see with live streaming and putting this sort of thing into the hands of users is the democratization of video. Anyone can do it. Anyone can put out quality content on a platform where anyone can consume it. And so for me, I think that's really, we're going to see that move more and more as different people step up their game of the quality of that content. Someone's always going to one-up it. And again, I love your challenge off the top. Do it better. Let's see it. And, that's really what it boils down to, is that we're just going to see this rise in the quality of what's done, to the point where I think we're only probably a year away from smaller budget live streamers on platforms like Facebook Live and Twitch being able to put out Hollywood quality content in a live stream. I really do think we're probably only a year away from that, if we're not already on the very cusp of it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the price points are ridiculous. The technology keeps getting better and better and better. You have platforms like BeLive.tv, making it extremely easy to stream now through WebRTC and bringing in guests, like bringing in you right now. Real quick, Anthony, I saw your question right there. I'll get to it in a second. But you were saying something about, the TV broadcast industry. I mean, I was listening to something the other day. It was actually a podcast, and they were interviewing, it's a Christian network. Is it the CTN? Yeah, CTN, CBN. That's what it is. Christian Broadcasting Network with Pat Robertson. That they do Christian news. And they were interviewing, I guess, his son about the network, and they asked a very huge question, like, where are you guys right now? What's your objective? He goes, everywhere and anywhere. He goes, when we do the show live, we used to do it live on TV. We do it live on TV now, but we're now live on Facebook Live. We're live on YouTube. They're taking everything they're doing and implementing anywhere possibly anybody's watching or listening to content now. That's where it's going. So they have the ability to, you have a dream inside to be a media person, or you want to have a great podcast, or you have a cooking show, or whatever you always wanted to do. You have the ability for less than $1,000. You can get your stuff and equipment and be off to the races and do something amazing.
Yeah. And I think the beauty of it is at those lower costs, it's something that, you can start out, keep your day job and kind of do it in the evenings or on weekends or whatever, build an audience, which, let's be honest, takes time. You're never going to go from zero to 1,000 overnight. It takes time to build an audience. But if you're good at it, if your content is good, you're going to get the audience. And once you have the audience, maybe you get to the point where you're generating enough revenue that you can quit your day job and do streaming full time. I mean, I think it's for me, the idea of that being a reality when I was a kid would be insane. The idea that someone could make a living, and a very decent living in some cases, live streaming some stuff on the internet. I mean, that sounds crazy, but that's very much a reality today, whether it's a business or an individual. And that's really cool.
It really is. That you can. It's a whole new world now with live streaming. Anthony said, "Would I be able to hook up ham radio equipment and a show ham radio convention or event with that?" Yeah, I think you have the possibilities of doing that. I think probably your setup, you would have to go through, a board initially, and then take it through whatever your switcher might be and going HDMI out where the audio and video is coming out of a box. Maybe you have a streaming laptop you can use or whatever. You could definitely go out and do that through that. That's how you get the audio and HDMI at this time if you wanted to do that. But yes, definitely you can.
There's definitely a few different ways you can do that. If you're taking the audio out from the ham radio into another audio mixer, you can get the main out over USB or maybe pipe it through the camera if it has analog audio inputs. There's a number of different ways. Some people have used Monoprice even sells very expensive, or inexpensive, I should say, HDMI audio injectors. So it'll take HDMI and analog audio in one side, combine them together, send HDMI out. And so a lot of people will use that in front of a webcaster to add analog audio in if their camera doesn't have that ability. So that can be another way that you can bring it in, add it into that line and bring it into the webcaster for your stream. Easy.
Bada boom, bada bing. Well, let me put this up here real quick too. The price point is $299, and let me put it up there so that people can see it in the agenda there. Price point is $299. You can't go wrong with that. Go here. You can go order yours today. Get the information you need. Webcaster X2. Thanks so much, George, for joining us on the broadcast.
You're
Look
welcome.
forward to more stuff that we'll be building with the future with you. I mean, this is just the beginning with BeLive.tv and what you guys' plans are with them, and very excited about this. And this is such a needed tool. So thank you for making the partnership happen.
Absolutely. No, thank you guys very much. It's fantastic. We're really excited to see how the people use it. That's really what it's all about, how people are going to use it. So we're looking forward to that. And of course, you and I have a lot more to chat about going forward too, which I'm also excited about. So that's going to be awesome. Secrets.
Absolutely. Top secret stuff. All right, George, have a great one. And thanks for being part of the show.
Thanks so much, everyone.
All righty. There you go, folks. You can get the Webcaster X2 right now. It's $299. Go there, buy yourself one, make your BeLive.tv so much simpler in this rat race of live streaming. You can do so much in so little time. Like we said, sky's the limit. Whatever your dream is now with a flexible price point of $299 and using BeLive.tv, absolutely easy to do. Guys, also, folks, make sure you join the BeLivers group and sharing more about the web. Maybe you're going to buy one. Maybe share some of your Webcaster X2 experiences with BeLive.tv in the BeLivers group. I think when I get mine more powered in, I'm going to do a little bit more info for you guys, what can be done, and the excitement of not having a big PC in front of me. I mean, I'm going to use this thing to do all of my BeLive shows now, which is fantastic. I have a huge laptop PC that I use in front of me. Now I can condense it down and get smaller and smaller because this room is already cluttered with so much gear. So I can make things a little bit smaller, a little bit easier. And that's what I love about this product more than anything. It's the flexibility of it being so small and compact. Go out and get this, because now you have this ability to do amazing live streams with their product, Webcaster X2. So go support it and do that as well. Brad says, Jeff, I have to watch replay. Yeah, no problem. Stephen Healy says, the BeLivers group, there's a link right there, folks. Go join today and show support. Like Stephen Healy's been there since the beginning with me. Great admin there. Does probably 1,000 live streams a week. Every time I see him, he's on live and doing amazing things and pushing his passion about live streaming. Also, too, folks, want to remind you, let me get to the button here, is go sign up and get a free BeLive.tv trial today. Sign up today. There's a link up above that you can click. Show people love, folks. Sign up, 30-day free trial with BeLive.tv. There's the link right there. It's also in the description, so you can click that link and you can be live streaming for 30 days like a pro. No expense to you, no credit card needed. And you can be live streaming like a boss. Until next time, folks, we'll see you real soon for another edition of Production Pro. See you soon.